Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Coming Distractions brought to you by the Nerdpocalypse podcast. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Micah.
I mean, goddamn, holy shit, man. I don't know where to begin.
I can't believe Morbius was in this movie. Crazy. No, so this obviously is our spoiler conversation for Spider-Man No Way Home. Look, I mean, what do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about the first big thing that came out? Fucking Daredevil, just Kevin Feige throwing his dick on the table within like minute 5 of the movie.
Yeah, man, it didn't take long either. It didn't take long.
No, it was. It's a bit ham-fisted, I thought, a little bit. Like,
I mean, yeah.
I mean, they weren't even like, we got you a lawyer. He was just like, there's Matt Murdock. I was like, oh, okay.
Bam, here I am.
Right.
But look, judging by the reaction to the person sitting 2 seats from me.
Oh, my God.
It worked.
Yeah, like, dude, like, relax. Like, you're like 25 years old. Yo, calm down. Like, I'm very excited too. You were not like 12. Like, just calm down. But that's dope. It's cool to have him confirmed. And finally in the MCU because I think he deserves that. And we got a little bit of his like abilities too, which was dope. Like his reflexes are great. Like, how'd you do that? I'm a good lawyer. Like, yeah, okay. I mean, look. Obviously the world's worst kept secret that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire were going to be in this, having that spoiled really didn't matter.
That's the thing, man. Like, a couple of things. One, it's one thing to know it. It's another thing to actually see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you still get like the holy shit moment.
You do.
And
and it was cool because I didn't quite realize that moment was there at first. Like, I didn't, like, when he opens the portal and they're showing Spider-Man through the portal, I just, like, I wasn't thinking about it. I was like, oh, okay, there's Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And then he walks up, I was like, that is not the normal suit. I was like, holy shit. And then he walks through and his eyes, I was like, oh.
I saw those big Mark Bagley inspired eyes and I'm like, holy shit, like, we're doing this in the second act?
Yeah.
Like, we're bringing these dudes in the second act? Like, I thought it was going to be like some cavalry shit in the third act. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that we wouldn't get a lot of time with them. No, we get time with these other Peter Parkers, man. And we get to see them and we get to see the banter of what three Peters would sound talking to each other.
Yeah.
Who are
amazing.
Very different, but very much the same.
Yep.
And I mean, it was so fucking cool, man. Yeah. Like, and for the most part, they, I enjoyed where it seemed like those characters went, right? Because those characters had lives after their movies, right? Like,
right.
Andrew Garfield being embittered that he couldn't save Gwen Stacy.
Stop pulling his punches.
And right. And by the way, Spider-Man pulls his punches, guys. Like, he can pick up fucking cars and shit. Like, he can, if he punches Electro's gonna fucking lose his jaw, right? Yeah. So Spider-Man has to pull his punches. But this one just became so embittered that he just was, and much like I think Andrew Garfield, right? Like, a little bit. Just kind of embittered about this fucking role and everything that surrounded it. And, here comes Tobey Maguire, right? The OG. I don't give a fuck what you think about Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. He cried or whatever. Whatever. Fuck you, yo. You love that shit, right? You loved it. And he comes in and he's like a fucking Jedi, man.
Yeah.
He is cool. He is calm. He is the elder statesman of the Spider-Man
universe
crew, and I loved seeing him on screen again, man.
Because he hasn't really done much of anything in years, honestly.
When the Peters come together to like talk about the terrible things that happen in their life,
yeah,
like, it just, I don't know. It's like I'm a sucker for like family movies and shit like that. Like teams coming together, like found families and families coming together. Yep. And that's what this felt like, man. Like what would you say to your younger self? You know what I mean?
Right. Like if you had that, I mean, and that was the cool thing. It's like, and I like, it's funny because I thought Tobey Maguire was good, but I thought of the two of them, but I thought Andrew Garfield fucking shined, right? Because he never got a trilogy, right? He loses his girlfriend in his, right? Like, so he had like the most brutal loss of any of them. And she dies at his hand, right? So his character is really fucked up. And he really shines of like, look, I'm telling you this because I don't want you to end up like me, right? And it's just like, well, fuck me, man. Like, because, you know, it's like we were talking offline, like there's sort of a meta conversation happening, right? Of like how that franchise ended and how he was kind of literally fired by the Sony president over that shit. Like, so it's for that to be sort of the underpinning of this conversation he's having about like in the Spider-Man world is like makes it doubly effective, right? And also Andrew Garfield's a good actor. Like he really is.
He is, man. He really is. This movie gives those movies closure. Like it does. Man.
It does. Like, it makes them better. Incidentally, it actually makes them better movies.
It retroactively makes them better, and that's the mark of really good writing, right? Like you could tell these people actually gave a shit. You could tell they watched the previous movies and they decided, okay, let's because there's so many like little winks and nods, and I find myself something of a scientist as well, and
that was such a great moment, such a great moment, it's such a great moment.
And there's like a lot of little stuff like that, man, like Peter having back problems and
right.
and like them commenting on like the organic web shooters versus, remember that was like a huge deal.
There was a big controversy,
like
man.
us. Like we were like, what the fuck? Like, no, that's not him. He doesn't have. And then like, and the other Spider-Men are like, yo, that's fucking dope, yo.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Like I don't want to. Does it come out of anywhere else? Like, I mean, I don't want to. But like the banter between the three of them was awesome. I mean, even Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker says like this is awesome. I've always wanted to have brothers, right? Like that was cool, man. Like, and then to imagine them going back to their own universes and how they would change, right? Like from this particular experience, right? My guess is Garfield is not as embittered anymore, right? Like, so he's fighting crime, but he's not probably murdering people, I assume, right? Like like them coming together on so many emotional levels worked so well. Like we talked about in our spoiler-free review, like this is Spider-Man's Endgame, right? And it can be compared to that for a reason because Jesus Christ, like, all of the stuff that was in this was nuts. Like,
yeah, man, everything. This was very much a love letter to live action Spider-Man.
Yeah, it was.
And with hints of what could possibly be in the future, right? Like Jamie Foxx has a line where, so all the villains, all the Spider-Men and their respective villains eventually like meet each other and have like dialogue. And Jamie Foxx's character, his Electro, is talking to Andrew Garfield, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I just, you were so cool. I just kind of thought you were black." And Andrew Garfield was like, "Oh,
from Queens, yeah, you're from Queens,
right? You're from Queens, and you're just real cool, and I thought you were black." Andrew Garfield apologizes for some reason, like he's like, "No, sorry, you don't have to apologize for not being black, yo. What the fuck?" But I'm sure there's a black Spider-Man out there somewhere.
Yeah, and it was just
it's like, come on, yo! Like I see you. I see you seeing us. See you.
That's perfect. And I like that they let the black character say that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's important. That's important.
Look, I almost cried during the big Aunt May scene. And
yeah, that was hard. That was rough.
It was rough, man, because you take what most people would agree is at that point in the film he's fighting the Green Goblin, right? It's Spider-Man versus the Green Goblin. Like that is Batman and Joker for Spider-Man, right? Yep. And Aunt May and Peter's getting his ass kicked, right?
Yo,
I mean, like
Green
Peter's
Goblin,
getting, like wrestling moves.
Yo, Green Goblin did a bulldog through the floor. Like he bulldogged Spider-Man through from one floor to another. Like that was insane.
Yo, he did like the Alabama slammer on him, yo, through a floor. I was like, Jesus, man.
Yeah, he was getting his ass thoroughly kicked by Goblin.
He
that was awesome.
Man. And here comes fucking Aunt May. And she's ready to fucking fight this dude, yo. Like she's got something in her hand. She's ready to fucking fight him, yo. And she gets hit with the glider. And you know, the scene comes to the fight comes to its end, and I'm like, Aunt May is just toughing it out, and I'm like, yo, please don't be dead. Like I think you have a mortal wound. Please don't have a mortal wound. And she's hanging on, and she explains to him that he's got a duty to help people,
right?
And you've got a great power to save these villains. Right. Which is another point that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, but you've got a power, and with great power, there must also come great responsibility. And I was about to weep, man. I was about to fucking weep because it's that moment in that instance, like that line one is so very powerful, and it's one of the best written lines I've ever heard, and it comes, you know. It comes from the Bible, but it in that moment, it just feels right, man.
Yeah,
and then she fucking dies, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, man! Like you can't keep hitting me all of this at the same time,
right.
Yo.
Like we finally get the line. We finally get the line, and then she fucking dies. Like Jesus Christ.
I love the. I'm a Kanye for you for a second. Yeah. I love the line, or I love the fact that this Spider-Man makes it a point to not want to see his villains die because they're people. Yeah. And that's a trope in superhero films, especially like, you know, earlier superhero films, right? Where it's like, oh, villains are one and done, and then they're dead, and then you can never use them again.
Right.
Like, nah, yo, that's not what heroes do. Heroes don't let people die.
Right.
And even if they are, you know, good people don't just want to let people die. It's not that Batman thing where it's like, I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you.
Yeah, Batman's not a good person, yo. Like he's not a good person.
Batman's not a good person, dude. Yo, he's a psychopath. No, heroes want to save people.
Right.
And try to rehabilitate them. And I hope that is something that is highlighted in more of these superhero films.
Right.
Much like how people got, you know, all pissed that Superman didn't save those people. So then in the next film in BVS, he was like, well, is everyone evacuated? Has the city been evacuated? Like this ham-fisted ass line.
Right.
Like, no, like we see it in this movie.
Right.
We see him trying to be better.
Right.
And
they make the, like, not only do they make the point by making that the quote unquote MacGuffin, right? Like the MacGuffin is you have to basically rehabilitate all of these villains, right? You know, change, you know, take their powers away or whatever to make them human and like normal humans again. That's the MacGuffin of it, but it's also shown in the last like action beat, which is he has to, and I loved how it was done. He's taken on Norman, and he is just unleashing pure hell on Norman. Like, literally webbing his feet to the ground and just beating Norman to death, right? Like, and it's brutal. Like, it's more brutal than almost any fight I've seen in the MCU. Like, easily.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it really was. I was like, even the other Spider-Man were like, God damn. Like, take it easy, kid. Good Lord. But it took Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man to literally stop him from stabbing Norman with his own glider which is, boy, is that an amplification from Norman killing himself in the original Spider-Man, right? Like, it's like, wow, I'm just gonna fucking stab you with it, proving how strong Spider-Man is, by the way. And it takes Tobey to like stop him from doing it, but he doesn't say anything to him. He just looks at him until he's like,
"Show don't tell."
Like, and that, dude, that's movies, yo. That's fucking movies.
That's movies. That's movies. That's using the medium as it's supposed to be.
Right. That is writing that character moment properly. You already know he already knows he shouldn't do it. He's already been told he shouldn't do it. He even agrees he shouldn't do it. But in the moment, he gets overwhelmed with his emotion because this guy killed his fucking mom, basically. And so he's like, I'm gonna kill this dude. And it took the elder statesman to go, like, just look at him and be like, dude, you know who you are, you know what you're supposed to do, and you know what you're not supposed to do. And all it took was that stare, and he was like, you know what, you're right. What the fuck was I doing?
Come on, man.
And then the other Spider-Man throws him the fucking anecdote, and he uses it, and he uses that as a way to end Norman, which is the proper way to handle it. Which was dope. Which is dope. So yeah, like the sort of the main driver of this movie is seeing your enemies as humans, right? Seeing the humanity even in these villains, which is an important lesson, I think. Like it was a super important lesson. But look, those are like really great emotional beats, and they really matter. But let's go back and do something for all the people listening. Yo, the swing in between these three niggas was the dopest shit I've ever seen. It was the dopest shit I've ever seen. Come on, man. Jesus Christ. Dude, when they were like, oh, we've never been on a team, and he's like, I was on the Avengers. They're like, is that a band? Like,
what the fuck is the Avengers?
Like, we never heard of that. Like, oh, yo, we by ourselves in our world. Like, we got no friends. When they agree, like, all right, let's like work one villain at a time, take them off the board one at a time, and work together. Which look, dude, it's such an icon. It's right up there with the iconic working together scene in the first Avengers. You know, it's like when they start like coalescing and like figuring each other out and how to use each other's moves together. Like, it's the dopest shit of all time. Right, this is why I can't wait for the X-Men, because like, yo, another team that knows how to work off of each other, knock it off. It's like that's what the MCU does best. And for them to swing down, I have to watch this again, but I'm pretty sure they swing down. Tom Holland is in the front. He fires a web. The other two fire into it, and they swing like basically make a web ball, and then they swing off of it. Yo, come on, man.
Yeah, they propel off of each other, dude. Like, you get your poster, you get your wallpaper shot of the three of them, right? And then they lift each other up, like physically and metaphorically,
right?
To gain height, because there's nothing there,
right?
Because there's nothing to, right.
And like, then like they do that, they swing up, you get the fucking moon behind them shot, so they get like one midair second in the midair, which is very reminiscent of the Amazing Spider-Man, where he does that like jump in front of the moon and then fire his web to come back towards the camera, which is one of the dopest things in that franchise. So you get that moment, then they land, and they all three do their signature fucking land move. I was like, yo, come on. Jesus. And they were like, and now we'll continue to kick ass. I was like, yo, that's a hell of a way to start that fight sequence. Like, it was awesome. Absolutely spectacular.
MJ was in peril. And in the trailer, you see her falling, and you see Andrew, or you see Tom
Holland.
Tom Holland, yeah. All these, I'm such an old man. You see Tom Holland,
Peter One
reaching. Peter One, you see Peter One reaching, and then in the trailer it cuts off. Obviously,
right.
He gets intercepted by the Goblin. And MJ is falling, And yeah, it's easy. It's not hard to figure what's about to happen. But again, seeing Andrew Garfield fucking getting his mea culpa, getting a do-over, especially because that was the thing that like he's not in this thing for more than 20, 30 minutes tops, and he's got growth. He's got an arc. He starts at an embittered place, and he rectifies his greatest mistake by saving MJ.
Yep.
And he's like, "Are you good?" And he's got that, like, he's about to just burst, right?
Yeah. He's pretty emotional on it.
And she's looking at him like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm good now."
Yeah.
Like,
I loved it, man. Come on, man.
I fucking loved it, man.
I mean, we called that
for that dude,
right?
Man.
Like, we called that. Like, that's just good writing, man. You got to give him that moment because he's broken when you meet him because of that, because of losing Gwen Stacy in his movie. But for him to get that back, stellar, man. Stellar
fucking redemption for that character, for an actor who does a good job in those movies. The movies were written poorly.
Yeah, that wasn't his fault.
But it wasn't him.
No,
and
he was a good Spider-Man.
I'm so glad he got
that. Yeah, he was. He was a good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, look. I'm trying to think. Let's talk about one, Doctor Strange. Look, that whole mirror universe shit was awesome. That looked incredible.
I love it, yo. I love it. I love the creativity that goes into the set pieces, anything involving Doctor Strange. It's amazing to me, and I absolutely love it. I'm very much looking forward to the next Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah, 100%.
But I mean, do we want to? Do we want to talk about the mid-credit scene, or is there anything else
do we want to talk about it? Absolutely.
I'm saying, is there anything else you want to talk about before we talk about the mid-credit scene?
I'm trying to think. Look, I thought the sort of technical upgrades of the villains looked really good. Like, they made Lizard look better. I still don't like the sort of Koopa-like face. I would have preferred the longer face, but he looked better. And you could tell Marvel was not a fan of that design because they kept him in the shadows more. Like, his face, like when he was like in the cage or whatever, he was always in the shadows, which made him look a little bit more sinister. And I was like, all right, that's a smart move. Jamie Foxx obviously looked much better. Alfred Molina and Dafoe, like, they've been de-aged, but man, did they look great. Like, they just looked good.
Yeah. They look like they just stepped out of their respective movies, man.
Yeah, they really do.
If you look at it side by side, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love what they did with those characters. I love what they did with the Goblin's design, right?
Because they made the suit work, man. They made the suit work.
Yeah, but and he had the suit on, but he put on like some hobo clothes, some green and purple hobo clothes.
Yep.
And then that gets like tattered, and it looked awesome, right?
Yeah,
like, because you still have some cloth elements to it, but it's still an armored suit. Like, they made it work. They made it work, man.
Again, they are so capable, even working with scraps.
Like, yeah, man.
Like, that suit in and of itself is ugly as fuck, but they figured out how to make it work and get rid of because the helmet is hard to take him seriously when you can't see his face because it doesn't emote, right? Like, and they were able to pull that off in a different way, which I thought was good.
Yeah, man. Just this movie's fucking awesome, dude.
I mean, look, that scene where he's fighting Norman, by the way, like, we talked about how, like, it was pretty brutal and stuff like that. But that scene where he's fighting him in the condo, where Tom Holland is on top of him, punching him in the face, and Norman is just laughing, is one of the most fucking terrifying, perfect Norman Osborn scenes I've ever seen. It was awesome.
I'm scared. I'm legit frightened of Willem Dafoe.
Like, I feel like I think that's a fair thing. Apparently he's like a super nice guy, which also makes sense. But yeah, as Norman, he's fucking terrifying. Like he's just because that laugh and that personality switch. Jesus, dude, he is such a great actor. He really is. We should be so lucky to have villains like that in comic book movies. Let's talk about the mid-credit scene.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about where where we go from here. So the plan is to make everyone forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and in doing so, literally everyone will forget, even the people that he cares about, the people that he wants to know. And eventually, that's the plan. They one more day, brand new day. This thing.
Yep.
And we see a scene of Peter who vows to MJ before her memory is erased that he will find her and he will, try his best to explain everything because they love each other, right? And he finds her at the coffee shop she works at. She doesn't recognize him. He's just about to try and as best you can explain the situation, and then he sees a bruise that she received while in that final battle,
right?
And then he can't do it because he realizes he can't put her through that, right? It's shades of the first Spider-Man and the second one movie where this is my gift, this is my curse. It's just not spelled out in an awkward way like in those first two movies.
Again, but show not tell, right?
Show don't tell, right? Like it's these actors' job to act, and they nail it, and they nail it, dude. And then you go and he's getting ready to go off to college, and he doesn't have anybody.
Yeah,
he doesn't have anybody, and he's alone, and he's broke, and he's got to make his own suit, and he makes himself a classic suit, and this is the most clever way that I have ever seen someone reboot and retcon a franchise.
Yep,
and they flashpointed it basically, and they called it out in a gag with Flash Thompson in his book Flashpoint.
Yep.
But they essentially reset Spider-Man.
Yep.
So to a more classic version, right? A version of Spider-Man that doesn't that doesn't have all this technology from Tony Stark at his whim. No, this is straight up like I gotta grind to be Spider-Man. I gotta grind to be a good student. I gotta grind to make a living. I gotta grind to keep my apartment. Like this is fun. I'm super excited to see where Spider-Man goes from here.
Yeah, because they basically stripped him down to like this was a big argument against Tom Holland Spider-Man is that he's basically like given all the keys to the kingdom by Tony Stark, and that's a fair criticism. Not anymore. Not anymore. That all of that's gone. Like he can't walk into Stark Tower and just be like, "Hey, I'm Peter Parker. He really, I'm Spider-Man. We were really cool with Iron Man." It's like, no, you worked with him on something.
He doesn't have access to that shit anymore. He can't fabricate a new suit. You know what I mean? With the fabricator and all that. Like, nah, man. Like you see it. He sewed a new suit.
Yep.
And yeah, man, I'm super excited to see where this thing goes, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how they basically crushed that criticism. But not in a angry way. Like they did it in a way that
they
makes
acknowledged
sense.
it.
They acknowledged it. They were like, all right, you're right. Like, this is where we want to put the character. So, yeah, it's interesting because all of his adventures with the Avengers still is in canon and they all remember him. They just don't know his identity.
Yeah, I in my head, they don't explain how it works, but in my head canon, anytime they've seen Spider-Man with his mask off, they just see it with him on. You know what I mean? Like any interaction that Spider-Man has ever had with his mask off and people see it, they see it with his mask on.
Right.
And that's how I kind of, justify how this magic spell works, as if a magic spell needs justification.
Right? Like I need it to technically work. Yeah, like we're talking in our Discord, and someone was like, "Well, what about his social security number and like his grades?" It's like, we're overthinking this. Like we're like, it's not that serious, guys. Like he has spider powers. Like it's fine. Like, who gives a shit about the social security number? You got J. Jonah Jameson selling supplements, for God's sake. Like it's fine. Like none of this really matters.
Right.
So yeah, I think it leaves Spider-Man in a super interesting place. But I really want to talk. Let's talk about the mid-credits scene. And then we can talk about the second credit scene as well, because I thought that was actually pretty important too. The mid-credit scene. Do you still have that paragraph up?
Yeah, it's on Wikipedia, so don't go to Wikipedia if you don't want to be spoiled. But it's literally on Wikipedia.
Okay, go for it.
Quote: in a mid-credit scene, the universe displaced Eddie Brock and Venom are updated by a bartender about the new universe. And just as they decide to go find Spider-Man, the duo are transported back to their universe by Strange's spell, unknowingly leaving a part of the symbiote on the counter. So, all you dummies who wanted Venom in the MCU, you got it for like 2 minutes. and then they were like, all right, like get the fuck out of here, because we want to do Venom our way, the right way, the way we think it should be done. And look, everyone knows my views on Venom. Don't hate him. Think he's overrated. I'm excited to see what Marvel does with this character.
Yeah, look.
So
for them to do that was, I mean, they basically got everybody got their cake and eat it too, right? People who like those Venom movies, I don't get it, but whatever. Like, if you like those Venom movies, you're going to continue to get those Venom movies in the Sony universe.
Right. They want Venom to interact in the MCU. No, leave Venom in Sony's Spider-Man universe. That's the official title of it. Sony's Spider-Man universe.
Right.
It's got a Wikipedia entry and everything.
Right.
Let Venom play over there. And if necessary, hopefully not, if necessary, Tom Holland can just kind of bounce over there and bounce back.
Right. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I hope not. I think now you have a piece of Venom in the MCU. I think this is how you get your classic black suit moment. I mean, we've talked about this on the main show. Like, I think this is all heading towards Secret Wars. I think that's exactly where this is going. And I think you're going to get the Russos back for that, because that's what they said. That was the one movie they would come back for. And I don't think they said that just pulling that name out of their ass. Right? Like, these are the same guys who were like, we're taking a lot of big swings. And it was like, yeah, you with Spider-Man. And then he was introduced, right? They say things very much on purpose. So I think that's how you get the black suit during Secret Wars. Where Venom goes after he leaves Spider-Man is a different question, whether that's Flash Thompson in this universe, which is very weird. It would be a very weird choice. But it could also go to Matt Gargan, who we've seen in the MCU, but we've never seen him fully realized as Scorpion. So you could just have him as Scorpion for a minute, then he gets the Venom symbiote, and then he turns into that version of Venom, which is crazy big. So, or they do something else. I don't know.
Or they can do something different.
Right.
Look,
but it's not going to be.
Matter.
I highly doubt they do another Eddie Brock. I highly doubt that. But yeah, which tells me, by the way, Morbius never going to be in the MCU. Never. Like if they, of course, like if they spent the time to bring Eddie Brock over to then throw his ass back, they're not bringing anyone else over. Which does beg the question, what the fuck is that Michael Keaton character then? Is he just like, is he playing both versions of his character, right? Like is he really just like an ambulance driver or something in that universe?
Yeah, that is a good question. I don't know if well, this says Michael Keaton reprises his role as Adrian Toomes. So
it just says Adrian Toomes. Right?
Well, Adrian Toomes / Vulture.
Oh,
so so we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
That's the one thing I'm interested in that movie. Where does that character live? Like, because as far as we know, no characters are pulled. Go ahead.
Despite these connections, the producers intend to tell a standalone origin story for Morbius as they did with Venom. So, and this is regarding the fact that Michael Keaton reprises his role as Adrian Toomes in Morbius, which also references the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, in which Peter is framed for Mysterio's murder. Despite these connections, producers intend to tell a standalone story. So look, maybe we're reading too much into it. Maybe it's just going to be like messy.
Nah, I don't buy that. I don't think they lend out someone like Keaton if it doesn't, like, just on a whim. Like, that seems odd to me. That seems like some shit Sony would do. It does not seem like something Marvel would do. So I'm interested to see that's what, a Wikipedia entry? Like, they're speculating based on trailers.
Who knows?
Yeah, they don't really know yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, and then we got the final credit scene, which was just a trailer for Doctor Strange 2. Yeah, more of that, please. Like, a lot more.
Yeah, also this movie, Spider-Man, feels like a central viewing for the MCU as a whole, right?
It does. It does.
Yeah, I mean,
the other two did not necessarily. No.
Right, but the events, they felt like supplements to the MCU as a whole. This one feels like mandatory viewing for the MCU as a whole, for the simple fact that of what Doctor Strange is capable and what he did, right? Of opening up this fucking multiverse. Like, you're introducing new concepts that will be explored in the mainline Marvel continuity,
right?
And it looks dope, like I am all here for all this fucking flippy dippy like psychedelic shit. And the big things that we see are nods to we see Mordo coming back, embracing the black man's hair, and it's got a gigantic set of dreads and a beard, because everybody looks good with a beard, right? And we see instances of characters from What If, specifically the tentacle monster that looks like Shuma Gorath, and fucking that Doctor Strange. I won't even call him evil Doctor Strange. He's the Doctor Strange that tried to repeatedly save his girlfriend,
right?
Which kind of makes sense, right? Where this Doctor Strange was all about, well, they're gonna die fighting Spider-Man. It's their fate. You can't change it, right?
Yeah, this one was like, nah, it's not.
Right. And that Spider-Man, that Doctor Strange was fucking, like, that was the best fucking episode of What If to me.
Oh, easily.
And one of the best. Like, in terms of like telling a story.
Yeah.
Like, not like action and shit, but like telling a story. That was the best one, man. And I'm so happy to see that character come back. And that character introduces, or that movie introduces America Chavez. And I'm super stoked for this thing, man.
Yeah, it's going to be wild to see a lot of what's going on in that trailer, once that movie comes out. But I do like the idea, like, as I'm thinking back to the trailer, what was really cool was, and this is why I think it is very much their version of that What If Doctor Strange. I don't know if it's like that exact one, right? Like, they like pluck it out of like the pocket universe and like bring him into the main MCU. I don't know, but it's certainly either that or they're doing like, this is us telling that story, right? Live action, in case you didn't watch What If. But like, there's a number of scenes in that trailer of showing his girlfriend, like, Rachel McAdams, like, what seemed like all of these like kind of flashbacky kind of moments. And my guess is that's a misdirect about our Doctor Strange and showing flashbacks of that Doctor Strange dealing with that accident and everything. So it's it should be rather interesting to see how they do that.
Yeah, man. So look, I haven't had a good time like this. I haven't had a good time like this in a movie in a long time. Oh, like I love movies, dude. but this was the blockbuster film that I have been needing for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's a movie that I can find very little flaws, if any. And I just fucking loved it, man. Like, I can't wait to see this again.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly impressed. I really was. If it matters to anybody, 9.2 out of 10 on IMDb, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. Boys are back.
Man. People on IMDb is usually pretty low.
Yeah, it's like really not good.
Pretty low.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's got a 71% on Metacritic, which is also incredibly, like, weirdly skewed. Like, Metacritic sucks. They all kind of suck pretty much, but, like, Metacritic has, like, it's really a weird thing. And that's also based on, like, 55 reviews, which means nothing. But, yeah, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, I believe it. It's not just a fan pleaser. It should be a critic pleaser. Like, there's real heart in this movie. Like, there really is. And there's some good writing, good storytelling. Like, you are invested. You are super invested in this movie. So,
yeah,
I loved it.
I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see see what my opinion is once the high kind of dies down a bit. I'm interested to see what my wife thinks, because I don't think if she has seen those other movies, like, she doesn't care about them like I care about them.
Right.
So I'm interested to see the perspective of someone who does not have that nostalgia thing.
Right. Just seeing
and to
it
see if
for real.
Yeah. And to see what her reaction is to it.
Right.
They mentioned Miles, like, they mentioned the Black Spider-Man, like,
in the MCU. Like, come on, man. And they didn't. Twice. That's like twice.
That's right. That's not the first time, Yeah, that's not the first time. So what I'm gonna need y'all to do, Kevin. I feel like we've been on this journey for a long time. I feel like I can call you Kevin. I feel like I can call you by your first name. I'm gonna need you to get this stuff set up, and then a couple years, when my boy is like 6, maybe 7,
yeah,
and you can bring out that Miles Morales movie.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you be hooking your boy up,
dude.
I appreciate it.
Look, my daughter already knows who Spider-Man is. She would go crazy to see a Spider-Man that looks like that's brown. Like, that would be awesome. Right? Like, she only knows, she only knows Spider-Man, like, in the suit, but to see,
as
like,
Spider-Man, right.
Right, he's a Spider-Man.
Which is the beautiful thing about Spider-Man.
Right. That's why he's universally loved.
Buddy.
Yeah. But for him to take that mask off and it's a black kid, she's going to be like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen. Right? Like, come on, man. Help us out. Help all black dads out everywhere. Like, come on, man. Black and Latin dads. Like, it's like, come on, please. So, yeah, no, man, absolutely excellent. I had such a blast with it. So, great time, absolutely great time. So, that's it for our spoiler conversation. This will probably be our last thing. Although we might do a quick little thing about, if we have time. I'll see. Making no promises. When Hawkeye ends, we may come back and do a little quick thing about that. Just depending. But maybe it'll depend. It'll depend. But this is likely going to be our last thing for the year. And we will see you guys in 2021. Later.
See ya.